Have you ever wondered what makes sourdough bread different from regular bread? Well, let's take a moment to explore this intriguing conundrum. At its most, bread is a humble concoction of flour, water, and salt. But sourdough is something different. It's a bit like a magic trick, a bit of culinary alchemy, transforming these simple ingredients into something wonderfully complex and deeply satisfying. You see, the key distinction between sourdough and regular bread lies in the way they're leavened or made to rise. While most breads use modern baker's yeast, a fast-acting and predictable rising agent, sourdough employs a wild yeast starter. This starter is a live culture of flour and water that ferments over time, developing a community of wild yeasts and beneficial bacteria. It's this lively concoction that gives sourdough its characteristic rise and subtle tang. But here's an interesting twist. Despite its name, sourdough doesn't necessarily mean the bread tastes sour. The term sourdough is more of a process rather than a flavor. It's the method of fermentation that differentiates sourdough from its yeast-leavened counterparts. The intensity of the tang, or sourness, in the bread can be manipulated by the baker through the fermentation time and the temperature, among other factors. In essence, sourdough is a celebration of time and patience. It may take longer to ferment and rise compared to breads risen with commercial yeast, but the result is a loaf with a depth of flavor and texture that's truly unique. A crust that crackles, a crumb that's tender yet chewy, and a taste that's slightly tangy yet deeply comforting. But sourdough is not just about the bread. The same process can be used to create a wide array of baked goodies, from croissants and pretzels to bagels and cinnamon rolls. The possibilities are as limitless as your creativity. So if sourdough is a process and not a flavor, what exactly is that process? Let's unravel this mystery together. In the scenes to come, we'll delve deeper into the wonderful world of sourdough, its health benefits, its versatility, and its ancient roots. So stay tuned, there's a lot more to discover. Why is sourdough bread often considered healthier than regular bread? This question is one we find ourselves pondering as we delve into the world of sourdough. The answer lies in the unique fermentation process that sets sourdough apart from its bread counterparts. Sourdough is a fermented product. And what does that mean, you ask? Well, during the fermentation process, naturally occurring bacteria and yeast in the dough get to work. They feast on the dough's sugars and excrete carbon dioxide, which gives the bread its rise. But there's more to it than just a little bakery magic. This fermentation process is a game changer for our digestive system. It helps break down the gluten and the anti-nutrients present in wheat, making the bread easier to digest. Gluten, a protein found in wheat, can sometimes be tough on our digestive system, but the sourdough fermentation process breaks it down into more manageable bits, making it easier on our bodies. And what about these anti-nutrients? They might sound a bit ominous, but they're simply compounds that can interfere with our body's ability to absorb nutrients. One of these anti-nutrients is phytic acid, which can bind to minerals like zinc and iron and reduce their absorption. But here's where sourdough comes to the rescue again. The fermentation process can help reduce the level of phytic acid, making these important minerals more available for absorption. Not only does sourdough bring these health benefits to the table, but it also offers a unique flavor profile that's both tangy and complex. It's a taste that's been savored for thousands of years, all thanks to the magic of fermentation. So, it's clear why sourdough is often considered the healthier bread choice. It's not just about the taste or the tradition, but also about what it offers to our bodies. And the best part? Any dough can be made using the sourdough method, opening up a world of possibilities. When you think of sourdough, you probably think of bread, but did you know that's just the beginning? Indeed, the versatility of sourdough extends far beyond the crusty loaves that might first spring to mind. Picture this: waking up to the smell of freshly baked sourdough croissants, their layers crisp, golden, and exquisitely buttery. Or imagine biting into a soft and chewy sourdough pretzel, its slightly tangy flavor a perfect match for a sprinkle of coarse sea salt. Sourdough bagels, too, bring a unique twist to the classic breakfast staple. With their delightfully chewy texture and subtle tang, they're a revelation, whether you prefer them simply toasted with a smear of cream cheese or piled high with your favorite toppings. But the magic of sourdough isn't confined to the world of savory. Picture a sourdough cinnamon roll. the dough's slight tang harmoniously balanced with the sweet, spicy filling. This perfect union creates a treat that's not only delicious but also more digestible, thanks to the sourdough process. You see, sourdough's versatility isn't just about the wide variety of foods you can create. It's also about how this ancient method of fermentation can transform the simplest ingredients, flour, water, and salt, into an array of delightful treats. Each one carries the unique flavor and health benefits that only sourdough can bring. And don't think that you're limited to wheat when making sourdough. Rye, spelt, and even buckwheat can all be used to create sourdough goods with a whole range of flavors and textures. From the hearty and robust to the light and delicate, there's a sourdough for every taste. So whether you're a seasoned home baker or just starting your sourdough journey, don't be afraid to experiment. Try different flours, play with various recipes, and see where the sourdough road takes you. You might be surprised at the delicious destinations you discover. So, whether you're a fan of sweet or savory, there's a sourdough treat out there for you. Sourdough might be trendy now, but did you know it's actually one of the oldest forms of bread making? Indeed, this humble loaf has a history as rich and diverse as the flavors it can produce. Sourdough dates back to around 5,000 years ago, when ancient Egyptians first discovered the magic of fermentation. They found that by adding water to their flour and letting it sit, the dough would eventually rise on its own. This was the birth of sourdough, a process that has remained virtually unchanged for millennia. While modern bread often relies on commercially produced yeast for a quick rise, sourdough takes its time. Its leavening comes from wild yeast and bacteria naturally present in the flour and the environment, creating a slow, steady rise that allows flavors to develop and the bread to reach its full potential. But what about the flour? It's no secret that the quality of the bread is intimately tied to the quality of the grain. Here's where ancient and heritage grains come into play. These are varieties of wheat that have been largely unchanged over the past several hundred years. They provide a diversity of flavors and textures that modern, commercially grown wheat often lacks. Wheat, in its many forms, has been a staple food for thousands of years. From the Fertile Crescent of the Middle East to the vast plains of North America, wheat has nourished civilizations and shaped our cultural landscapes. It's not just the backbone of our bread, but a cornerstone of our diets. The sourdough process is amplified by these ancient and heritage grains, their complex flavors shining through in the final product. It's a testament to the enduring power of this ancient method of bread making, a process that respects the ingredients and the time it takes to truly create something special. But where does this essential ingredient come from? Let's take a trip to the wheat fields. Because the story of sourdough, like any good story, starts at the very beginning. From the fields to our tables, the journey of wheat is a fascinating one. This humble grain, the backbone of our bread, starts its life as a tiny seed sown into the cool earth. As the seasons change, it sprouts, growing towards the sun, nourished by the soil and rain. Wheat is an adaptable crop, able to thrive in a variety of climates and soils. It blankets vast fields in North America, Europe, and Asia, painting landscapes with its golden hue. But it's not the only grain in town. If wheat doesn't suit your soil or your palate, there are alternatives. Consider rye, a hardy grain that withstands harsh conditions, or buckwheat, a pseudo-cereal that's not a wheat at all, but offers its own unique flavors. Once the wheat has matured, it's time for the harvest. Combines rumble through the fields, separating the grain from the chaff. This harvested wheat is then stored, ready to be transformed into the flour that forms the basis of our bread, pasta, pastries, and more. But how does this transformation occur? How does a grain of wheat become a bag of flour? The answer lies in milling. Grinding the wheat breaks down its components, separating the bran and germ from the endosperm. It's this endosperm that's ground into the fine, white flour we're familiar with. Yet the journey of wheat doesn't end here. It continues in the hands of bakers, transforming through the magic of fermentation into sourdough breads and pastries. It's a journey that spans continents and cultures, a testament to our shared love for this humble grain. The journey of wheat is about more than just the transformation of a grain into flour. It's about the connection between the earth and our food, the traditional methods passed down through generations, and the incredible versatility of this staple grain. Once harvested, this grain undergoes a transformation, Let's explore the traditional method of turning wheat into flour, stone milling, an ancient practice that brings out the best in our wheat. Let's dive into the fascinating process of transforming wheat into flour using the traditional art of stone milling. Stone milling is a technique that has been around for centuries, an integral part of bread-making history. The heart of this process lies in its simplicity. Wheat grains are ground between two large stones to create flour. This method, though seemingly primitive, is a testament to the adage, "The old ways are often the best ways." So how does a stone mill work? It's a beautiful dance of nature and engineering. The top stone, or the runner stone, rotates above the stationary bottom stone, or the bed stone. As the runner stone spins, it grinds the wheat kernels that are fed into the mill. The finely ground particles of the wheat are then collected and sifted to create the flour we use in our baking. But what makes stone milling so special? The answer lies in the heat, or rather, the lack thereof. Unlike modern steel roller mills that generate high heat during the grinding process, stone mills stay remarkably cool. This low-temperature grinding preserves the wheat's nutrients, its natural oils, and its flavor, giving us a flour that is wholesome and aromatic. Moreover, stone milling is an art that respects the integrity of the wheat. Every grain is ground in its entirety, including the germ and bran, resulting in a whole grain flour rich in fiber and nutrients. This is a stark contrast to commercial milling, where these essential parts are often removed. And let's not forget the indescribable satisfaction of using flour that you've milled yourself. The tactile connection to the bread-making process, the anticipation of the end result, the smell of the freshly milled flour. It's a sensory experience that's hard to beat. With our flour ready, it's time to return to the kitchen and see how using the sourdough method will give us better, healthier, more flavorful bread products. After all, the magic of bread making begins with the humble grain and the art of stone milling. Now that we've journeyed from the fields to the mill, it's time to unlock the magic of sourdough. Let's take a step back and marvel at the journey we've embarked on together. From the humble origins of wheat in the golden fields, through the traditional art of stone milling, we've traced the path that leads us to the heart of every loaf of sourdough. Sourdough. It's not just a type of bread or a quirky flavor. It's a process, an age-old tradition that brings together simple ingredients, flour, water, and salt, and transforms them into something truly magical. It's a testament to the power of time, patience, and fermentation. Through the natural fermentation process, sourdough breaks down the gluten and anti-nutrients in wheat, making it easier to digest. It's not just about creating delicious bread, but also about nurturing our health. It's about combining the wisdom of our ancestors with the insight of modern science. Sourdough is a versatile hero of the baking world. With just one sourdough starter, a world of culinary possibilities opens up. From the classic crusty loaf to the delicate croissants, pretzels, and even cinnamon rolls, sourdough has the power to elevate every bake. But sourdough is more than just a method. It's a living thing. The sourdough starter, a mix of flour and water, teems with wild yeast and bacteria. As they feast on the sugars in the flour, they produce carbon dioxide, which gives the bread its rise, and lactic acid, which imparts that characteristic tang. Every sourdough starter is unique, reflecting its environment, the flour used, and even the baker's own hands. It's a personal journey, a story told in the most delicious way possible. And let's not forget the grains. Sourdough's magic is amplified when we use ancient and heritage grains. These grains, untouched by modern breeding techniques, bring a depth of flavor and a nutritional boost that take our bread to new heights. It's a fascinating journey, isn't it? From the grains swaying in the fields to the golden loaf in our hands, it's a process steeped in tradition, yet constantly evolving. Sourdough is a celebration of simplicity and complexity, of tradition and innovation. It's about understanding and respecting the ingredients, the process, and the time it takes. It's about the joy of baking, the satisfaction of breaking bread, and the pleasure of sharing it with others. And there you have it, the wonderful world of sourdough. A journey that takes us back in time, yet delivers a product that's more relevant than ever. Remember, every loaf tells a story. What will yours be?